um, pretty quickly. So give me one quick second, guys. Just getting everything set up. Mm, All right, one. All right. So at first, I just want to take a quick look at TradingView. Um, Kind of just pull that up really quickly. Let's see. So AMD stock, it's pretty interesting to see AMD stock still be on the red. I haven't really seen anything major happening for the stock today. It could just be overall momentum. I do know we see a lot of semiconductor players down today. Give me one quick second. This is Jose, we back. What's going on? How's it going, everybody? Let's see. Let me just pull up chat. What's going on, Casper? What's going on, Ed? What's going on, Bro Hizzle? So hope everybody had a great day. I did end up buying. I mentioned in my morning stream that I was gonna end up purchasing some CoreWeave. I did end up going with CoreWeave. I did sell a few puts, and I also ended up buying a few hundred shares of CoreWeave, just to kind of start off. Nvidia price high this week. I mean, I'm not sure, right? Let's see what Nvidia is sitting at right now. Nvidia 181. Pretty good. I mean, we have earnings, so there was a lot of the news with the Nvidia. I don't know if you guys saw with Nvidia, they did announce a new chip for the robotic space market. If you've been watching this channel, this is something that we kind of already guessed. We already guessed. We kind of talked about it. But Jensen did release Jetson Thor, which unlocks real-time reasoning for general robotics products, and it's kind of like a new chip. Let's kind of see. I don't know if you guys can hear volume. There's just music, so maybe I'll just pause it because I might get demonetized. But the new, it's kind of a new robotics chip, and they're selling it for. I think they kind of talked about the price point here. So they're saying how it's a huge improvement from their previous platform, Orin. But I want to see the price. So this is it comes with a heatsink. It comes with the Jetson T5000 with Blackwell GPU. I want to look at the price. I think they mentioned. Oh yeah, here we go. So the Jensen Thor kit is now available starting at $3,500. If you are purchasing more than 1,000 units, you're getting it at a discount at $3,000. So I don't think this is going to be anything that moves the stock for Nvidia in general. But for them to start having kind of like a pricing of 1,000 units plus, it does kind of give um, a little indication that the robotics market is picking up, right? And bro, so yeah, so we can see here Jetson Thor is for robotics. Yeah, so the previous version to that was like the Jetson Orin. So Nvidia has had kind of bro, so these robotics platforms. It does seem for the first time we're kind of seeing it at scale. So it's pretty interesting to see this kind of play out here. And I wasn't showing the screen here, but this is here, the Judson Thor. They kind of talk a little bit here about how it's better than the previous version, the Orin. And here's a breakdown of how it looks. It's going to have kind of the NVIDIA Jetson T5000 with the Blackwell GPU. It has a heatsink and fan. And here is the pricing. So it's available for $3,000 if you order 1,000 units or more. I think they even announced certain customers were already using it. I don't know if I saw, let me see, Amazon. No. So I heard maybe it was in another, there was another indication of someone already using it as well. Not sure. NVIDIA Jetson Thor. Let me see. What's it here? Yeah, so early adopters include industry leaders like Agility Robotics, Amazon, Amazon Robotics, Boston Dynamics, Caterpillar, Figure, Hexagon, Medtronic, and Meta. While 1X, John Deere, OpenAI, and Physical are evaluating Jetson Thor to advance their physical AI capabilities. Um, it's actually interesting. I knew a lot of these players were focusing in the robotic space, right? Obviously, Amazon with the robotics market, obviously, Boston Dynamics. We've heard rumors that OpenAI was focusing on some robotic space, but now we see some, I guess, confirmation without really getting confirmation that OpenAI is kind of trying a little bit in the robotic space, since we see robot OpenAI here is focusing in that industry. But overall, again, it's just an indication of the AI robotic space. Um, let's see, what else do we have? If Nvidia crashes, I would buy more to my average. Nice, nice. It's crazy to think what I mean. Right now, the only thing, in my opinion, that would create kind of a crash on Nvidia is just some random news that we couldn't think about at the moment. Amazon is buying Jetson, yep, of its robotics delivery force. That's crazy, right? I mean, some big players here doing it. And then this Jetson is incredible. It's a Blackwell. You can infer and somehow learn on the same platform. So we know NVIDIA has kind of that whole solution with the training, simulation, and obviously here the inference of it. So I will most likely be covering this on my video later tonight. Also focusing on some other semiconductor companies as well. Let's see here. NVIDIA does have a tendency to drop after earnings, regardless of how good the results was. The question is, shall we hold or sell to take the profits before earnings? I guess it also depends on like your earnings, right? And how much money you've made on them. I think for long-term investors, the tax implication is going to be too high to try to time and sell the stock. In the long term, I think is a nice hold overall. Happy, happy Gerald. Thank you. It is actually not my birthday, but it is my birthday week. So I am pretty excited for this week being Nvidia's week. So let's I just want to look at some stocks really quick. So like we saw AMD stock was down. We saw Nvidia is up about 1.8%. I wonder if it's just, did the robotics excitement kind of just do everything for Nvidia to pull up? We also CoreWeave stock pulling up a little. Nice, nice, nice. We have Nebius here up about 1.7%. What's going on, Marta? What's going on, George? So I'm only going to be on here for like 20 more minutes or so, 30 more minutes or so. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to lay them in before we're going to see ARM. So in the semiconductor space, I think it was an okay day, right? I don't think anything too crazy happened. Synopsis is down. Well, not down much. But hey, Martin, what's going on? Martin, what's going on, Thomas? Jose, thoughts on what? Medtronic is a medical device manufacturer. I wonder what they are going to use the robot for, use the robot brain for. That's interesting, right? So does Medtronic have any form of robotic solution? I know there's that, is it ISRG, integral surgical company that is very heavily in robotics surgery. I wonder why they weren't named. Is Iron also reporting earnings on Thursday? I did see that they kind of announced a new, let's go to Iron real quick. Iron Investor Relations. Do they have it here? News, let's see. So today they announced this, right? So this is today, August 25th. Let's just pull it up here. So today they announced it had additional 4,200 Nvidia Blackwell B200 GPUs, which doubled their GPU fleet to approximately 8.5 thousand. In addition, Iron has secured financing of 102 million for prior purchase of Blackwell B200 and B300 GPUs. The financing is structured as a 36-month lease for 100% of the purchase price of the GPUs, with lease payments calculated utilizing a high single-digit interest rates. Why couldn't they just give you the interest rates? So they do have a nice amount. I really like the breakdown. So um, they don't have too many H100s, right? The H obviously those are older platforms, so I'm happy that they don't. They have about 1,100 H200s. The H200s are still used a lot in the AI market. I think the H200s are where we're still seeing a lot of training. H100s, I would say I'm happy that they don't have that much. The B200s and the B300s being the new platforms, I'm happy that that's where most of their power is coming. With 50 megawatts of total power capacity, Orange Prince George campus is able to support phase two growth over 20,000 Blackwell GPUs. I wonder if they're ever when are they planning on using that power all at once, or are they going to stagger? Right, they're going to buy the B300s, and then next year they're going to buy some Rubens. I do also think that's one of the reasons, though, they're going with the Blackwell platforms. The Blackwell, the B200s and the B300s can still be air powered cool. And here they talk about it. 20,000 air cooled GPUs reflect 50 megawatts of gross power capacity. They do kind of mention the air cooled Blackwell GPUs. Now let's kind of take out let's see, core weave pumping. I don't know. I mean, hopefully it would be nice. 200 after earnings. Jason, what's going on, Jason? Nvidia, I don't think so. I don't know. Jensen has to say something we don't really know to really see the stock, in my opinion, over 200. 200 after end of year, definitely possible, especially with the stock where it's at right now. After earnings, they have to mention something we don't know. Um, Jose, let's see what else. I'm just kind of following. Air up 30% today. And yeah, Martin, what's going on, Martin? So they did announce if we kind of go to air, let's kind of go to air stock first. So air stock is up 36% today. Air investors relations, they did announce that I'm just curious if I show up. Talked about this one a bit, but investors relations, they talked a lot about a new major hyperscaler expands AI processor production. So they mentioned, where did they talk about it? Today announces that it has received additional follow-on orders for 6 Sonoma ultra high-powered package part burn-in systems from its lead production artificial intelligence processor customer for package part burn-in. So one of their big customers here is kind of growing more into the AI space. This is one of their growth opportunities here. So pretty exciting here for a stock with a market cap of, is it still less than $1 billion right now? Yeah, market cap of 739 billion. Um, Nvidia will likely drop because of China news. If my way or highway doesn't make U-turn every week, Nvidia stock would be over 200, just in my opinion. You think the China news is going to have some impact? Are you talking about kind of the you? I mean, I don't know. I think we're getting ready for the B30A. What's happening with China that maybe I might not be too familiar with, Shashi, that would cause some pullback on China news. There's a point that you didn't make it to Miami. Yes, yes. Well, um, yeah, little one. Next time I'll bring them, and we all well, we all won't show up, but at least bring everybody down. Let's see. Jetson Oren. Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. You know what? Then is that they skipped it. One of the main reasons is the Oren, even though it was the previous generation, it wasn't based off the Hopper architecture, I believe. I think it was only based off the um what is the one before Volta? The A Ampere. I think it was based off the Ampere. Here, the Thor is going to be based on the Blackwell. So you see massive, massive growth in tops and kind of generational gap here in edge computer. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. And I'm happy they announced it. Hopefully during the earnings, they talk a little bit more about the robotics market, maybe a little bit more of how they might be seeing some traction here. isn't China actually trying to ban Nvidia chips on their own? That's what the rumors are saying, right, Martin? That's what has been discussed. I honestly do think though that the China needs the H20s, and if we are able to send the B30A or the Blackwell 30A, which is the other watered down version, I if China wants to keep developing, they have to do it. How is let's see here. Um, there was another question I wanted to kind of take a closer look at. How is CRMV? I'm guessing you mean CoreWeave, SC Mayo, and Core Scientific merger going on. Um, right. So Core's, I'm hoping I'm talking about the right stocks. Uh, is did Core Scientific change their logo? Um, I mean, we haven't heard any updates from there. There were, let's see, acquisitions. There were reports. So we know CoreWeave is going to acquire Core Scientific. Um, there were a few investors, and I thought I saw it was like even some law people. We're going to kind of try to fight it off because there's no kind of collar with the pricing. It all has to do with CoreWeave. I think right now everything is still good, but it's something that we're going to have to, I guess, listen to throughout the upcoming earnings. I wonder if CoreWeave is going to end up closing the day. It's trading, maybe close the day green. That would pretty good. But Nvidia right now up at $181, up about 1.6%. So let's see. Do you think it's worth selling Nvidia? I feel my portfolio. Nicholas, so do you think it's worth selling Nvidia now? Average cost 100. I feel my portfolio. I mean, it's all up to you, right, Nicholas? Is how exposed. It's too AI heavy. See, so you're feeling my portfolio is too AI heavy. Would sell Nvidia at these prices over AMD to repalace waiting. I mean, at the end of the day, Nicholas, is what it's how you control your emotions. And if you are feeling too AI heavy, if things go bad, it could make your emotions create a bad reaction to your portfolio. So personally, when I feel like I'm getting too heavy, I start to trim. Normally, when I feel AI heavy, I don't trim Nvidia. I haven't trimmed Nvidia in many, many years. I don't think I've sold in the past 2 to 3 years on Nvidia. It's just been an accumulation. Um, but if I felt too AI heavy, maybe I would start to sell off some other companies that I have less belief in. For me, obviously, Nvidia is the GOAT. So that's the company I know, like no tomorrow. So it's very hard for me to sell off, but I do feel AI heavy. I tend to sell off maybe some of the other companies that are also AI exposure. Um, Yeah, I think so, Ed, right? All semis are taking a rest until Nvidia earnings are in. I think most of the market, right? A lot of semiconductor, a lot of tech, a lot of data center companies, even though we did have a really great day for Google, right? I think Google, it's hit 210. Let's kind of look at the chart here. Google hit 210 and it's hopefully finishes at a new high for Google. But certain stocks, I think, are going to be quiet until after NVIDIA earnings, especially those kind of focusing in the cloud server space. Yeah, Tom, that's pretty much. I'd never trim NVIDIA, right? If I was, it would be other AI companies that maybe I might not know too well. Um, Eric, you believe AMD is going to pop tomorrow? May pop? Why do you think, Eric? Anything on your end that you like? Why is AMD stagnant today? I don't know. I think it's just, the market might be seeing the Intel news of, hey, if Intel's getting more backings from the US government, maybe their CPUs are going to be a little bit more competitive. We also do have Intel today at a technical conference announced kind of their CPU solutions. I wonder if the market is just watching that a little bit. Um, is there a way to access the hot chip stream without registering? PG, no. It's a very technical thing. I would say for most investors, you're not going to learn anything. And for those that are the analysts, it's not 700 isn't the craziest thing. I would say they usually post the videos about 3 months from now. I think 3 months from now, they post it on their YouTube channel for free. It's usually 3 or 4 months from now. That's crazy. That's wild. Happy birthday, Jose. Big day Wednesday. Yes, big day Wednesday. Google at 2:08, 2:09. Um, that's another thing, right, Carolyn? If you get a little, maybe sell cover calls against it. And if I ever do sell cover calls, I never sell cover calls on the full position. Let's say I had only 1,000 shares of Nvidia. Um, I would only sell like cover call 1 or 2 cover calls, right? So even if they get taken, I only get taken about 20%, assuming I only had 1,000 shares. Um, but that's another great way. Anything, you just have to understand what are some of the risks behind it. Let's see. Any other questions? So we have Thomas here. I don't know if Thomas is still here. Thoughts on Broadcom future outlook? More room for growth with Google partnership and custom ASIC model, or no? I mean, with Thomas, Broadcom is killing it in the ASIC space. Right? I mean, they're the ones for Google. Google's going to keep buying more and more TPUs. They also have other great partners. I've seen. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick so we can kind of look at some of the winners that they have. I have. Let me just get it real quickly, and then I'll share the screen. A screen so everybody can see. But it kind of gives us a breakdown of all the players that Broadcom is winning with. Mm, hopefully, I saved it in my bookmarks. So here we go. Yeah. So, I mean, Broadcom, right? So Broadcom seems to be going with is helping Microsoft with the Maya 300. And this is based on Fubon research. So they might know something. We can see Google is killing it with Broadcom with TPUs. Meta with their MTIA, which is their AI chip, is all Broadcom here. We can see ByteDance maybe was originally Broadcom, so that's no longer there. OpenAI, reportedly, their training side might be with Broadcom, but their inference side would be with Marvell. Tesla, I think they're going to do their own thing with their Dojo, and XAI with Broadcom. But we can see Broadcom has a lot of heavy hitters. XAI most likely building their chip with Broadcom, Meta, Broadcom, Google, Broadcom, Microsoft, some Marvell, some Broadcom. So I don't think ASIC is a fad. But it definitely comes with competition, right? It definitely comes with competition. Um, what's going on, Matthew? Maybe not the full close. I'm only gonna be here for exactly when the market closes. Maybe I might jump out. What's my average on Nvidia? Single digits. Single digits. Um, We are at the bottom of the second inning at the AI game, guys. I use every day at work. They're only getting better and better. I agree, Eric. I mean, obviously, it's not always going to be some massive growth. Maybe a few innings might be a bit boring if we continue with that whole thought process or analogy. Certain innings are going to be crazy. Certain innings are going to be slow. But I think it's going to be it's going to be a nice game for investors. Let's see what else do we have. So trading. Let's go back to trading view. Let's actually see CNBC. Anything going on? So it does seem like the Nvidia news is getting a lot of reaction right now. I don't know if it deserves the reaction it's getting. Is Would love to hear more from earnings. Actually, I mean, they have Amazon. They had big customers there, so rightfully so. What else do we have? Anything else here from CNBC that that I would kind of take? Let's go back to trading view. So let's look at some questions here. Matthew, 2 more days. I think I may load into more Nvidia tomorrow. Another 500 shares is down to 40% of my portfolio. Now I feel better being it. But I feel better being it. That's wild. Um, that is wild, Matthew. But yeah, I mean, this we talked about it, I think, in the morning stream, right? We talked about it in the morning stream. But one thing that gets me excited for Nvidia's earnings is this chart right here. I know if you were here this morning, you saw it already, but this is capital expenditure. So how much companies have spent not only in AI infrastructure and pretty much their own business, all business, but a lot of that capital expenditure is going to AI. Quarter four of 2024, it was about 79 billion. And this is Meta, Microsoft, Google, the list is here, Amazon, CoreWeave, and whatnot. You see that in quarter four. In quarter one, you barely saw any growth. You barely saw any growth in capital expenditure on a sequential basis. And I remember a few bears coming out there and saying, look, you're not seeing, you're not seeing the sequential growth anymore. That means the AI story is dead. But look at what happened this quarter two of 2025. Capital expenditure grew to nearly $100 billion. We saw AMD report earnings. They didn't really get much AI revenue. Qualcomm is definitely going to get some from obviously Google, but Google itself is which one? Is this one? They did jump a nice amount, about 5 billion versus a quarter ago. But everybody else is just Tranium is Amazon, so maybe there too. But I could believe a good portion of that $20 billion is going to go to Nvidia. And this is what gets me super, super excited for their earnings this week. It's almost like the market telling you, look, Nvidia is just printing money. I do wonder what they're going to do with all that free cash flow and cash position. Talking about Nvidia sitting up about 1.7% on the day. Let's kind of look at, I know people around here, the 1 minute candle. Matthew, I eat bears for Nvidia bears for breakfast. That's a good. I feel like I haven't heard them so much this week. Are we seeing any gains concerning AWS with capex this high? I'm not sure what you mean, Martin. Are we seeing any gains concerning AWS with capex this high? Market sliding downwards. Do you have a TP for Nvidia? What TP? Time place for Nvidia around $200? Or you mean a price target? The polarizing, I don't have a price target for Nvidia. Nvidia is one of those stocks where I'm just going to continuing hold until it tells me that it's no longer worth holding. And it hasn't shown that by far anytime. So I think it's going to continue to be a market beater. So no price target, because I feel like a price target sometimes, take profit, usually take profit. See, for me, it's, if I put a price target or a take profit on a stock, it creates this short-term incentive for me that if it goes to that level, I have to sell off. I sometimes do it for other companies, but for Nvidia, no. For true long-term investors, I don't really do it that much. Like for CoreWeave, I did it on the way up. We bought CoreWeave at around $40, sold it some at 100, 120, 140s, but it's because it gave me a multi-bagger in like a few weeks. But now I'm back into CoreWeave again. Let's see. Oh, AWS didn't deliver this. Yes, I do. I do think, I mean, out of the cloud service providers, I think AWS is the slowest to implement NVIDIA. Martin, I think all the other players have been very aggressive, especially Google and Microsoft, especially Microsoft in creating NVIDIA GPUs. I think Amazon went a little bit slower, and it's going to take some time for the actual results to come in. I think this quarter we're a little bit weak, and maybe next quarter might seem a little bit weak for AWS, but it does seem like they shift their things around, and they are going to be spending more money with NVIDIA. Yeah, so I agree, right, Matthew? That's similar. I make changes based on news and narrative, but more like for me, it's more news, and it's kind of like long-term news. It's and understanding the news, right? So, and Martin's been an OG of NVIDIA, so he understands like DeepSeek moments. Certain people might get scared out of that. If you understood the company, you'll say, "Hey, look, this is more like a buying opportunity than anything." Abraham, market these days are all over the place. Even if Nvidia does good on earnings, the call can plummet for no good reason. And that's the thing, right? It's expectations at the end of the day. Um, and that's why earnings, I never would try to bet on or against earnings, is because the market can have a lot of things priced in already. And if it has a priced in, they might even drop after reporting earnings. So it's all about expectations. DeepSeek was annoying. I agree, Matthew. DeepSeek, and then that other thing, the other annoying thing, um, when everybody was talking about Microsoft kind of slowing down data center investments, those two were probably the most annoying this year, or for like the past, even the past 12 months. I think those two were the biggest, uh, the ones that got me the most annoyed. Um, DeepSeek actually proved Nvidia is the best. I feel like Meta has a huge potential. I mean, especially, right? Especially if they do kind of create this new generation platform. I don't know if you guys saw this. Let me kind of see if I can pull it up really quickly. How Meta, well, first let me find it on X and then I'll share it. But on that hot chip um, platform that's happening right now, let me semi-analysis. I believe it was semi-analysis. Yeah. Um, So here, this was from Hot Chips today. Meta is launching for the future of AI solutions. So it's the glasses, the wrist to help kind of, I guess, control everything in your glasses. And I don't know what the puck itself is. But if Meta really does create kind of like the new phone of the AI era, there's obviously a big opportunity here. Um, Uh, Matthew, right here. So that's interesting, and this is coming in from that. So I'm gonna be watching the conference. For those that are not familiar, Hot Chips is one that focuses on semiconductor advancements, and you have a lot of big players there. It's very technical, so I wouldn't recommend it for most investors, and it's also about $700. Um, so it's happening live right now. I usually watch the recap videos at night, and if I see anything good, I'll definitely talk about it during a video tonight. So if you guys haven't, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and I will be talking about some of the cool things they talk about during the platform. But here's semi-analysis. They, for example, Intel talks about their new CPU. So if you are an Intel investor, they do that. And I think there's other things happening with that as well. And then we have Nvidia talking about certain things. We have AMD talking about certain things. We have Broadcom talking about certain Marvell. So all these big companies. I think even Google is having a keynote later today there. So anything that's worth mentioning for investor, you should say, PG. No, I think they would be able to know that I did that. But like I said, I'll share all the information that is important for investors. Um, And Matthew says he owns Meta. He likes Suck. I trust him. I actually I do I agree. Suck is a beast, especially after getting punished by Apple. I think that lit so much fire up his ass that he's not going to want to lose. I think Apple showed him that, look, I can do, if you don't own the data, if you don't own the platform, you're at the mercy of that player. Um, and yeah, it lit up something under him that he is now definitely going to be the best there. So Ben saying puck equals battery computer or battery connection hub to server and local devices. I wonder if it's yeah, I gotta see. I wonder if they talk about it during the conference, Ben. But it has to be some form of connection to something. But I wouldn't, especially if it's just the wrist and the that is true, right? Maybe not the battery, but some of the connectivity where you don't have to have all the connections on your glasses and you don't have to have all the connections or all the processing in the wrist or the glasses. Because then it could be that mini computer and then you can have a lot more processing power there. And then everything else kind of gets like streamed. And streaming obviously takes a lot less battery power. So I wonder if that's it. That actually makes a lot of sense, Ben. If the puck itself is kind of the actual computer, and the glasses and the wrist are more kind of just streaming off of it, and this allows them to be lighter weight, better battery, and you still have a nice high performance computing solution. Um, if not, then you just created the greatest thing ever, Ben, and you should go find investors to it. We have Fly here. What would you suggest for a newbie to invest? For me, honestly, Fly, it sounds boring. You're gonna hate the answer. ETFs and index. That's it. Start off there. S&P 5. I would start with the Qs or a semiconductor ETF. And then from there on out, start to learn a little bit about public companies, right? After you learn about public companies, then you can start investing in individual public companies. Let's see. Um, when will Nvidia become a $5 trillion company? Any guesses? What is Morgan? Do you know by the top of your head what does Nvidia's price target needs to be a 5 trillion? We need a what? What's right now 4.4. So at least another 15% growth. Is that closer to like two something? 205, 206. Um, Fred, S&P 500, no babysitting. But this is actually a good question, Fly. Is the market too high to invest now if you are just starting? If you're just investing in indexes, I can make this QQ. Let's just go QQQ. If you invest in just indices starting off, look at the max. No matter when it was too high, you're still winning. So as a long-term investor, you have time on your side. That's pretty much on indexes like ETFs and S&P 500. So when you buy into the Nasdaq, into the S&P 500, even if you buy at the top, you could have been the worst investor and purchased at the top of 2021, at the top of 2020, right before COVID, at the top of the bubble crash in the 2000s, at the top of the housing crash in 2008 and 2007, the China trade war in like 2018. Even if you bought at the top, you're still a winner right now. And I think that trend is going to continue. So, as a long-term investor, I would say, especially if you're starting off, I'm not gonna unless you're starting off with $1 billion or you inherit a lot of money. Starting off, you're usually going to be making the least amount of money in your life right now. I'm very bullish on you. I believe you're going to make more money 5, 10 years from now. The money you're going to be learning using now, it's more like a education. It's more like a tuition into the market. And you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to fail some exams. Luckily, though, after you fail those exams, you're going to have more money and you're going to be able to make more money. Corey, money. I like QQM. I do too. That's one of the few ETFs indexes that I enjoy the most outside of the semiconductor ETF. Sometimes my wife says, "Look, we can't have all our money in Nvidia. We can't have all our money on AMD. What can you find?" And I say, "Okay. I guess we'll go QQQM if we can't have Nvidia or semiconductors in the portfolio." Um, and let me just say, Fly, starting off, there's going to be certain times when the market makes you seem like the greatest genius of all times, and you believe you're going to be the ultimate stock market picker, and out of nowhere is going to kick you so bad. Don't get discouraged when it kicks you. The market comes with both good and bad. Sometimes we usually only feel the bad, but I do believe, I mean, for me, the greatest reason I'm able to do not work your traditional job is because of the market itself, right? Long-term investing in companies like Nvidia, and obviously this platform, but it does create some form of wealth that you would have not seen in the traditional 9 to 5. And the great thing is anybody can do it. Anybody can just go into your 401k, invest on a weekly basis on S&P, the Qs, and it can go a long, long way. Mm, let's see. Let's see. Have I taken? Have you, Nicholas? Have you taken profits on AMD recently? I haven't. I like AMD. I don't think so. I think AMD is going to be a multi bagger. So I'm not selling anything on AMD right now. Do you think AMD will be crushed by Nvidia and ARM in 2026? I don't by ARM in the CPU race, Dennis. I don't think so. I think AMD is definitely a beast in the CPU market. In the GPU market, AMD has, I think, is able to get a few billions in 2026 compared to where it had right now. So a few extra billions goes a long way for AMD, but I don't think it's AMD is so small that it can't get crushed, right? It's so small. I don't think you can. It's weird to say, but when you're so small, like nothing, you not to be rude, but going from nothing to nothing more is not really a difference there. But Jose, hold my and AMD is dumping. It's not. It's not. It's doing good. And AMD with the MI 400, I think is going to create a good momentum. Um, how high did it go though? Did it get to 180s? It did hit 180s. That's crazy. Um, I mean, this momentum is wild, but you can see in the past month, it's gone from down 11%, at one point high over 13%, but in the past month, it's down only 1.6%. That is volatility in itself. If you purchase here, you're pretty much flat. If you purchase here, you're down a little bit if you're here. But it's just the way the market works. That volatility in the semiconductor space is no joke. Yeah, George. I mean, I think this is the greatest thing. Don't sell. I mean, especially unless you have some crappy companies. Well, yes, most of the time, selling during market crashes is the worst decision you can make as an investor. Let's see. So let's kind of look at the 1 hour here. Or what do you guys like? The 1 minute. I wonder what's happening here. I haven't heard any news. Is it just overall momentum? Mm, I'm looking on Twitter really quickly, but I don't see anything. It's just Intel talked a little bit about their AI chip today. Not their AI chip, their CPU today. They also talk a little bit about obviously that relationships with the United States government. I wonder if the market is just seeing this since it's a major competitor to AMD as some reason to sell. But F usually says the 5 days after usually red. I don't really follow macro too much to really know that. Um, AMD has quadruple its value and still be less than Nvidia. So yeah, growth potential. Yeah, it can quadruple and still be a quarter of Nvidia, right? It quadruples, it becomes $1 trillion company, and Nvidia still being over 4 trillion. It's crazy the difference in prices there. I'm not saying AMD deserves $1 trillion market cap. That's not what I'm saying, but there is that opportunity, I guess, if you get excited. Um, let's see here, Dennis. Nvidia needs AMD as a competitor, otherwise beware antitrust. It also just it lights a fire under Nvidia, right? It's like Nvidia now. I think Jensen is just very paranoid individual, which I think is great as an investor. As an investor, I want my CEO to be paranoid. He wants to make sure that he doesn't lose to anybody. Um, that was a weird candle there for AMD that just happened just now. Did someone just? It could be just insider. Market close. Boom, boom, boom. So market closed right now. In the semiconductor space, we had Navitas down about 3%. Navitas here sitting at 3.5. Another fan favorite is Astera Labs. Astera Labs was down 2.7%. AMD, unfortunately, down 2.6%. Really weird candle that we see here. I don't know what happens. Insiders, I don't know if it was just a massive insider selling that caused that, but that's pretty weird, or it could just be a gap there. Synopsys down about 1.5%. We do have what's another one? Micron Technology closed at $116, down about 1%. Intel, wow, did a turnaround there. Intel was green before the market for the most of the market, but it did close red today, down about 1%. We have Qualcomm down about 1% as well. Let's see some other ones. We have Meta Platforms pretty much flat, down about 0.2%. ARM was pretty much flat, down about 0.1%. We also had Broadcom. Broadcom was pretty much flat, 0.8% here. Let me see. So nothing too crazy. The biggest winner today was Air Test Technology. So Air Test up 35%. Um, let's see. Tesla was also up about 2%. We had Lam Research up about 1%. Google finished at $209. And Nvidia up at 1%, sitting at $179. So some good, some bad. Let's kind of look at maybe some software plays really quick. I don't follow Etsy too much, but Etsy was down 8%. We have Tempest down about 5%. We had SoundHound down 3%. Duolingo down 3%. Is anybody getting on the Duolingo market lately? It's been pulling down. What else do we have? We have Fortinet down about 2%. We have Snap about down 2%. CoreWeave down about 1.7%. Let's see anything. Nebius did finish over $70. So it was a nice day. Supermicro was a green here. So GitLab also a little green there. All right. And do we have any earnings this week? Let's kind of pull. I just want to not this week, today. Let me kind of, oops. Let's go to quarter. Matt, you said competition is China. You're talking about for Nvidia, Matthew? Um, Shay, this is, I think if there's any ask or benefit for Intel, it's not gonna be on the if I was to guess, my best guess, if something like this was to happen, it's gonna be more on their foundry side and not on their CPU or design side. And that doesn't really affect AMD at all. It's gonna affect more kind of like, I guess, TSMC. So if there is, which I highly doubt there would be, but if there are, I think it would be um, more on the foundry side. The only thing about that, Shay, is that so no, I guess Semtech we have in the semiconductor, we have earnings. Broadcom has their VMware Explorer tomorrow in Las Vegas. That's actually pretty cool. So if you are a Broadcom investor, one there. We have a few global foundries on Wednesday for a Deutsche Bank technology conference. Obviously, Nvidia. Intel also has an event on Thursday, on semiconductor event on Thursday. It seems we have a lot of semiconductor conferences on Thursday. Marvell Technology, obviously, earnings on Thursday as well. And kind of let me just look at my filter. Say filter followed companies. I just want to see if any big companies. Oh, CoreWeave. CoreWeave also has an event on Wednesday. This one, I'm going to definitely cover that as well. CrowdStrike earnings, Autodesk. It seems to be a pretty interesting earnings this week. Pretty interesting week for earnings still. Let's see what questions we have. Yeah, so that's crazy, right? Because that's not illegal, which is wild, right? So China can still use chips, the computation from other players in other countries, which is it's still wild, right? So you can still kind of rent off Microsoft GPUs, but the only thing I guess they get tracked a little bit, so they understand what it's being used for. Isn't Huawei's China's best and still worse than AMD? Definitely worse than Nvidia. I don't know if we can say worse than AMD just because they're able to connect chips. Right? They're able to do kind of a lot of communication, something like NVLink or something like NVSwitch. But They're definitely a bit away. They are trying their best on China there. Let's see. I just want to take a closer look at stock twits just to see anything moving. Neo, I know some people were kind of talking about Neo. Iron, oh, up had a nice day. It was up 7% on the day today. Air Technology up 3%, 35%. TSM was up 1.4%. Nvidia kind of killing it. Matthew back from the holidays. Matthew was on vacation. I thought Matthew just didn't like me anymore. I didn't see him on the comments that often. All right, guys. So I just wanted to kind of look at the close real quick. I am going to be working on some videos. I am going to be, and I'm not going to share, but let's kind of, for those that are not familiar, this is Hot Chips. Um, so earlier today, we had kind of like IBM talking. We had Intel just happening. Microsoft is going to talk about kind of their hardware solutions in a bit. This is the one I'm actually pretty excited to see. So later today, predictions for the next phase of AI is going to happen with Google. AMD is going to talk a little bit about things. Nvidia is going to talk about their RTX 590. AMD is also going to talk about their Pensando. So it's going to be a good day. I'm going to be sharing a lot of information. Uh, so, all right. So I'm getting a few calls, guys. I just appreciate it. I'll be covering some. Um, I'm getting a phone call. So I'm going to catch you guys later. Take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe I'll do another market something, maybe market lunch tomorrow as we're getting into this earnings week. But thank you so much for the support. I'll see you guys and I'll catch you later today on the video. So make sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button.